What is going on, guys? Kade is here, and today we are going to talk about how to enjoy Albion online as a new player or even a seasoned warrior. Recently I came across this Reddit post by the user Supreme Sergiet. He gave a bunch of really good advice on how to enjoy this game, but I didn't agree with all of these points, so I decided to make my own video on this topic. And after playing New World closed beta for the past week or so, I came back to Albion, and here are my few best tips on things you could change in your gameplay or the activities you do in Albion to enjoy it a lot more. My final remark is that this video is an open discussion, so if you don't agree with something I said, feel free to have an open chat in the comment section down below. And with all this said, let's get right into it. My first tip, or the big point, is that people or even your guild members will force you to use meta weapons that are good for ZVZ or ganking, but are terrible in other aspects of the game. I've personally fallen into this trap by having to grind the game for countless of hours, so for every single event I would level the exact appropriate weapon and exact gear piece, bit by bit. So for ganking I would have one weapon, then for ZVZ another, then for CGVGs another one, and so on and so forth. What I suggest for newer players is to go into a test server where you will get every single weapon unlocked right away, or just in the main server level up each weapon to tier 4 and try it out for yourself. Because believe me, it truly does not matter if you're using the specific patch most overpowered weapon. Then another option which I use myself is to decide between events and activities I like to do in the game and find a weapon that is good for all of them. Lately I've been gathering, doing solo PvP and fame farming corrupted dungeons. And for all of this, I've been using a simple bloodletter build. Yes, of course, it won't be the most efficient fame farming build or the god of 1v1s, but it has good skills for AoE damage. It's one of the highest mobility weapons in the game and has very fun playstyle. As this is truly a huge topic, I will move to the next point, but in the future I'll make a specific guide on the best all-round weapons that are good for most activities in the game, so be look out for that. Then the second tip is for all of my guild slaves in Albion. If you have joined above average guild, most of your day or playtime in Albion will be forced to go to do mandatory CTAs or big group events that you as a player will gain nothing in return. I strongly believe that there are hundreds of different guilds that offer exactly what you're looking for, just not 100% everything. So for example, one guild is only 20 to 30 members, but each weekend they do only ganking and are very active in Saturdays and Sundays. So if you work as well and you only have 2 days from a week to play, you'd rather join this guild without any territories than go join a huge guild where you have to donate items in game, which comes out of donating your own time. So you could do something in that guild, but when you actually look at it, you most likely spend 70% of your time doing things you don't want to, that are just not that fun. So you could do other 30% things that you actually enjoy. So my advice is to not settle. Albion has lately grown in popularity and there is a guild definitely out there for you, which will tick all the boxes. So check out Albion forums, go onto Reddit or just search through Albion Discord servers and you will find in time what you're looking for. Then my next tip is that if you can't afford a specific gear set or a build, you don't have to spend hours of grinding just so you could make the money and buy it or craft it. When you play Albion, it might be just to relax, have some fun and enjoy your time, but the top players play this game to only win and get the best gear to have the highest chance of winning. So for example, here we have a very good build, but the one that I can't afford it. So instead of me spending my own time grinding and trying to make money, I have two options. Either way, go downgrade, so from tier 6 to tier 5 or 4, or the second option is instead of having a bunch of expensive artifacts at the start, you use a more simple version of this build. And when you make more money or more fame, depending on what you're doing, and then and only then when you can afford at least few sets or whatever you're buying, get that gear. Here I have a 5 tier 4.1 builds that cost the same as one 6.1 build. So instead of me buying this expensive build, then dying just once, I can buy it 5 more times, just lower gear. And by doing that, I get 5 more tries or chances at doing the same activity just with lower cost. These few tips or suggestions may seem very odd and very simple, but trust me, many people blindly use only builds they see their top YouTubers using, then joining hardcore guilds, and instead of enjoying the game they are donating their time to help out already rich players. And lastly, buying super expensive gear just to lose it when instead of they could have played it smarter and get out of this game a lot more. Then moving over to the fourth point, which is that as a new player you will get bored very fast as bunch of activities in the game cost and require a lot of game time. So let me explain. If for example you started the game a week ago, or just depending on how much you play, and now you want to join a very active guild, so you'll have a specific requirement which requires time. Then if you want to do hardcore expeditions, you will need the tier 8.3 masterpiece gear, which means again more time. If then again you want to do ZVZs or dungeons, you will need bunch of gears because in PvP you may a lot of times die, and when you do get a kill, not always you can loot and make your money back. So again you have to spend time in game just to have some fun. So with all this said, if you truly are a grinder, there's nothing wrong in putting a lot of time in game. But what I'm trying to say is that you really don't have to. This game has no levels or nothing like that, so the requirements for doing decent PvP, then PvE and even making money are super low. So my biggest solution for all of this is to change those activities for different ones. So for example, instead of finding a 5-man hardcore expedition group, you join a simple guild or look for open world fame farming group. Then again, instead of doing massive ZVZs with guilds, you go and do faction warfare. And lastly, instead of doing 5v5 hellgates and black zones, you do them in yellow zones, where again you can't lose money, so you do the same activity, just with less cost for your time. Albion developers have made this game to be played in hundreds of different ways, doing hundreds of different things. So no matter what, this game is very beginner friendly and you can do almost any activity you want, just modifying the actual said activity and finding a cheaper solution, and by progressing in the game, you will upgrade and progress through different events. You really don't have to play solo to join a higher tier guild, just at the start join a more casual friendly guild, and when you get the requirements, move on and you can apply the same tactic to every single thing in the game. You start at simple and lower tier, where there are lower requirements, and when you progress with the events, with the guilds, the players and everything else. Then for one of the last tips or advices for new players, or to be honest, this tip can apply to every single player in Albion, which is that this Albion community is very toxic and scummy. There are hundreds of different guilds, inviting new players and raising the tax extremely high, so you don't know that every single silver you make, the guild leader is making percentage out of you. Then another example is that even in Discords, Reddits and other social media communities, there are players who have been playing this game for more than 4 years, so they think that they know everything, and simple misunderstanding or not shoving or using the exactly most efficient build, which then sets their full trigger alarm and they will go full raging on you. This personally I have seen in big guilds where players just mixing and trying out different builds will get roasted right away for just trying something new, and even content creators getting put down for the most simple things in the game. So all in all, this game has no quests or specific tutorials, and there are multiple different ways you can play the game. And if you're not playing in the way that the quote-unquote hardcore players want you to play, they will try to scam and put you down. So my recommendation is to be careful and be aware of all of this. And what helped me personally was finding a similar group of players thinking the same way I do and playing in the same playstyle. And now, last but not the least, my final point, which might be the most important part of this video that has allowed players to play this game for multiple years. And it can be said in 4 simple words: try everything in Albion. The best part of the game is that you can truly do anything and everything, starting off with being a solo player and doing ganking, 1v1 duels, corrupted dungeons, gathering and many more things like that. And then for a group player, doing CVZs, GVGs, arenas, hellgates, open world ganking and much more. So what I recommend for players is to change up things you do. If one day you didn't want to talk much, you just go enjoy gathering and maybe 1v1 corrupted dungeons. Then the next day go to Roads of Avalon with a group of 5 and do some fame farming and PvP. Then the third day go help out your guild in the CTAs and different ZVZ activities. Then take the 4th day to fully fund your gear and make some money by flipping items in the auction house or doing some open world ganking. If you're really specifically a PvE or PvP player, it does not mean that you have to do exact the same thing 24/7. And believe me that trying out everything this game has to offer will only make you enjoy Albion even more. And at the end of the day, by doing different things, you will open possibilities to meet new players or just find new ways to make more silver in more creative ways. Okay, and that wraps all my simple but very well needed tips for new or veteran players. I truly believe that if you follow my advice that I gave you in this video and just implement some of them in your daily Albion routine, you will definitely enjoy the game a lot more and even thank me later. But besides that, like I mentioned at the start, this video is an open discussion, so feel free to leave any comments, suggestions, or just your thoughts in the comment section down below. As well, if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell. In this way, you will help out my channel and you won't miss any more new content from me. With that said, my name is Cade, you have a wonderful day and I will see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.